Hello everybody, this is Terry Jeanette with the Tapping Flamingo. In today's video, I'm going to make a jewelry set, but it's not just any jewelry set. Now before I go into detail as to what I'm making, I just want to say that the techniques that I am going to use today to make this jewelry set are the same techniques I would use to make jewelry for me or for a doll or for a child or for anybody. So the other day, my granddaughter brought me a bunch of these dolls and their hair was a disaster. She had 5 in total, and my other granddaughters, they had 2 dolls with disaster hair. So lately I have been trying to get these dolls back in better shape. And I have videos all about that on my other channel, Be Creative with Terry Jeanette. So let me get to the point here. You're probably saying, oh, what do dolls have to do with jewelry? This particular doll right here, I believe her name is Nancy. She is an Our Generation doll. This is the dress she came in, but look, she has pierced ears. And I thought, oh, I should not only get her hair back in order, put her in the dress she came in, but I should make her some jewelry. And that's what we're doing today. But remember, the same techniques I'm going to use to make that doll some jewelry are exactly the techniques you would use to make you some jewelry. So that doll has a dress that's white background. It has black poodles with a pink bow. And I actually looked her up, and she was a doll that came with some jewelry. She came with 2 pair of earrings, a bracelet, and a necklace. And today we're actually going to make a pair of earrings and a necklace. Let's see, let me get this all situated here. So I went into my chain stash and I found this chain and just put a lobster claw clasp on the end. I just hooked a lobster claw clasp on the end. It already had a jump ring. And what we're going to do is, let me get my tools out. I'm not sure if I need wire cutters, but I will have them in case. I'm going to need some round nose pliers and flat nose pliers. So let's work on the earrings first. Now, I had planned on taking these, one of these pink beads. There are 6mm beads and they're actually 4mm beads. These are 6mm beads. I was going to take these 2 beads and I was going to wire them together and hang this dog paw. But the earring wound up being way too long for the doll. So easy peasy, what I did was I just took an ear wire and I opened it up like so, hung the dog paw on there and carefully closed it back up, and we have a pair of earrings. These are actually the easiest way to make earrings, and you can wear these or they're perfect for your doll. And these actually would make really good earrings for a younger person, maybe your grandchild or your daughter. Now for the necklace, like I said, I have this chain. It's just a scrap. Let's see how long it is here. Let's move up this. Including the lobster claw, we're talking, let's see, that's 6. It's about 7 inches long. I am going to add a jump ring. Let me get to my other pliers. A lot of times, especially with these little bitty jump rings, 2 pliers are nice to have. There we go. We have just a very simple chain. This actually would make a nice little bracelet. Look at that. It fits me perfect. So if you wanted to do a beaded necklace or have a beaded necklace for your 18-inch doll, you could just use one of your bracelets. Anyway, let me show you what I did. Actually, like I said, was wanting to do something very similar to this for an earring, but these were way too long, so I am using it as a pendant. And all I did was take some 20 gauge beading wire, craft wire, and I put the beads on there in the order I wanted them. I made a loop with round nose pliers, wrapped it around and used wire cutters to trim the wire, and then made sure that the end was tucked in. And then I did the same thing at the top. Now before I wired this, I made sure I put my charm on there. And just put it on your chain and you have a necklace. Or you could wear a bracelet. Wear it as a bracelet. Look at that. That'd make a fun little bracelet. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. The charm hanging down like that. All right, let me put this on the doll and show you what it looks like on her. And there she is in her jewelry. It's a perfect length for her. Now, if I was making this necklace for myself, I would probably do either an 18 or 17 inch. So I would measure the chain at about, like if I was going to do an 18-inch chain, you would want to measure your chain out to be 17 inches because the jump rings and the clasps usually are about an inch. So once you put the clasp and the jump rings on there, then you'll have an 18-inch necklace. Something else about these necklaces, you can make yourself all kinds of different charms to hang. Instead of having a whole bunch of chains, you can have one chain with a bunch of charms. Let me show you a few examples. This little charm right here, I just took some wire and wired a bail so I can just add that to a chain. I took these guitar strings and wrapped them up and added a wood bead and some crystals. Again, just used a wire to make a bail. Here's a shell. It had a hole in it. So I just used that hole to wire up a bail. This right here, again, I just took some wire and put it through the holes and again, wired up a bail. You could do something as simple as just putting a jump ring in a hole and hanging that charm. Here's kind of what I did with the necklace I was just showing you. Put the bead, wired a loop, and wired someplace to put the charm. I really like these. You just put the chain through there. But look how many different necklaces I have, and I only need to use one chain instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 necklaces there, 7 chains. I probably have a tangled up mess, but instead have one chain, 7 pendants for 7 different necklaces. This is a really good idea. You could have like an 18-inch. I have an 18-inch chain. I have a 16-inch chain, and I have a 20-inch chain. And that way I can have different lengths. I could wear them together or separately. Anyway, doing it this way, you have endless amount of necklaces without the tangled mess. And you can do that with your dolls or your children. I'd like to thank y'all for joining me, and let me know in the comment section below if you make smaller jewelry for either a child or a doll or even yourself. Maybe you like petite jewelry. Y'all have a great day. This is Terry Jeanette with the Tapping Flamingo signing out for now. Bye-bye.